common remedy we've all heard as guitar players over the years to get out of a creative roadblock that we find ourselves in, a rut if you will. Change your guitar tuning. It's always a spark of inspiration. I mean, look at history. Jimmy Page tuned to DDDGBbD, D-A-D-G-A-D, capturing this exotic, droning, mystical sound. A classic case of modal tuning shaping a riff. DDDGBbD allows for a lot of different modal sounds to be accessible with just a couple fingers on the strings and a lot of open strings at that to create an epic sound of resonance. On the opposite end of the spectrum, Soundgarden put out Rusty Cage. Chris Cornell tuned to B-A-B-B-B-E. Bizarre. Thale said that he just started twisting tuning pegs and came up with this tuning, Chris Cornell. Lack of those really structured intervals, you know, is just kind of more of a percussive sound, which is perfect for a singer to really convey his melodies. A classic example of drop D, which is just D-A-D-G-B-E, simplifies power chords, empowering riffage. This is Rage Against the Machine killing in the name. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. I could have easily put a Tool riff here. In fact, I will. Just by dropping one string, the low E, down to a D, it unlocks a carnal nature, a primal instinct inside you as a guitar player that when you discover it, it brings a tear to your eye. But this tuning would make me cry out of fear. Deftones' Minerva, C-G-C-G-G-E. Chino and Stephen Carpenter created an ocean of tone here, atmospheric yet punishing. The double G strings add this very interesting tension to a lot of the sound. Joni Mitchell is one of the greatest innovators of alternate tunings on guitar, and her open E sound, E-B-E, G-sharp-B-E, takes her folk influence and shows how it could influence rock musicians to this day. The cool thing is this tuning is essentially an E major chord, so it's a great movable sound. And that's the thing about any sort of alternative tuning, is it usually allows for access to easy, simple, nice sounds and movable chords and shapes. And I'm not gonna try and find that, because today's challenge is to create the ugliest, worst tuning I can possibly find. I'm not in a creative rut. I'm gonna try and create a creative rut and then get out of it with a tuning that I come up with. I'll just show it to you now. Not the worst sounding tuning, okay, I may have built it up too much, but that's kind of annoying. This floppy A, tuned down to D, it's kind of hard to fret it, so I'm working against this tuning from an intonation perspective. I mean, this is a G minor triad, it's useful, it's just kind of lifeless. And let's just see. Do anything on these thick strings, just make something happen, I don't know. Okay, it seems like I'm drifting towards odd time signatures. I'll keep that in mind as I continue to create the ultimate jam out of this tuning, and spoiler alert, I've actually already done that and my buddy Eric Hill mixed it. Sounds incredible. I am very excited about this tuning. I can't hold it back anymore, because what happens when you finally start to unlock an alternate tuning, and what this should ideally do the moment you tune your guitar to something, is you have chords that you can move. So I already feel like that's not something I can play in standard tuning, and it's also not something that I would play in standard tuning. It's something that I hear, but it's not necessarily what I would play. And as I was noodling around here, I noticed that there is actually some droning potential. And we have the tension of these strings kind of creating this slink. And that's the riff that I ended up going with. And then I noticed that these are also movable chords. So if I grab my pick out of my little pick pocket, come on baby, I know you're down there somewhere. There she is. So that is feeling like a chord progression I might write in standard tuning, but it's fleshed out in a way that I never would have come up with. And I'm starting to hear like these are beautiful intervals, and it's very easily accessible with just this simple bar. So there's just one fret away, you kind of have access to a lot of beauty, but also a lot of, because of this. And that was when I started messing around, really kind of getting in the weeds with these different fat strings, because I didn't want it just to be some open, beautiful sounding riff that maybe I can't play in standard tuning, but it still kind of sounds like a normal tuning. So I came up with an intro to the song that's sort of reminiscent of that very first, but it's different in that it sounds like it has some intention behind it, and it's very simple. Came up with this little lead part that acts as the melody, the voice, with Rabia's archetype plugin. It's such a fun way to find different scales in this tuning. And what do you know? They're all right under my fingertips. I don't have to move much to sound very interesting to myself. It has a really quick attack. You can kind of turn it down. I turn down the attack and the resonance, so it sort of sounds like a guitar, but sort of tails off as a synth sound. Yeah, that's really fun. I literally did that for an hour before I actually started recording the solo, which I've alluded to enough, this tune that I put together using this, what do I call this tuning? DGood. Kind of looks like DGood. DGood tuning. Sounds bad, but DGood. I'm telling you.